Sent him home. He was home for not even 24 hours. And he was sitting in a chair, and something told me to look over at him. And I was standing right next to the phone, too, and I looked over at him, and his head went back, and he started having a seizure. I was like, great. And so I said, Dad, and my brother was, like, right there, and he, like, walked over to him and was talking to him, and he just kept seizing, shaking and stuff. And for a split second, I'm picking up the phone, calling 911, and for a split second, something changed. I mean, I can't even put my finger on it, but I just knew something changed, and it's like, excuse my language, but basically, the exact thing that I thought right then was, what a fucked up way to go. That's going to be in my head for the rest of my life now. And it's like, I just couldn't, that's just a fucked up way to die. He's probably, terrified. And, as it turns out, he told my brother that he could hear him saying his name and stuff, but he couldn't respond. Ugh. And I ended up, talking to a friend, who was in the same room. She was my neighbor growing up for like 20 years, and she's really perceptive with this kind of thing. And she asked me outside my house. She asked me later on. She said, "What'd you see? Did you see that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And when I saw him, something changed. And I had that thought that he died. And then like a second later, it was gone. And she said that at the same time she was looking at him, and like the area, I guess like around his head or something, like he was sitting by the window. She said that for a split second, like she couldn't see the window behind him. It went black, and then it went away, and then everything was back to normal. And it coincided with exactly with what I felt. I didn't see it. I more like I felt it. And from what I've looked into, as far as auras and stuff, when you see the color black, that's usually a sign of death, but most people, it's not a color that people see ever, that often. But he ended up going back in the hospital, and he was there for about maybe a few more weeks or a month. Basically, after that, he came home to die. He died 5 days later, in front of us. I was holding my daughter, like, while he was on morphine, like, at the very last stage, and, I was holding my daughter, and I made amends with him, and he couldn't really talk, but he could, like, he put his hand, like, over his eyes as if he was crying, but he wasn't crying, but, and I'd go in there, and I'd talk to him for, a couple minutes with my daughter. I was holding her, and she'd look at him, and then she'd look up in the corner, and she'd look at him, and look up in the corner. And I was like, okay, apparently we're not the only ones in this room, And after he passed away, I think it was like 30-something days later. He was cremated, so 30-something days later we had his memorial, and the day before that is when his obituary came out, and my mom and my daughter and I got in her car one day, that day, and we were pulling out of the driveway, and it was just us, and there was nobody in my house, and my mom's cell phone rang, and she's all, who is it? And I go, you're not going to believe this. And she's all, who is it? I said, it's the house. She's like, shut up, and I go, I'm serious, and it stopped ringing, and that may be, something that most people would dismiss, but with my house, if you call from my house, if you don't push a certain code first, it comes up as private. So the only way the number itself would come up is if you push the code. So, that's a little odd, nobody could just hit redial. And, well, at least not 8 more times, because it happened, I think, like 8 more times, where it rang, and then stopped, and then rang again, and then stopped. And it's like, if it was an accident, you wouldn't be able to knock the phone off, and then hang it back up, and then hit the number again, and then do it again. So finally, my mom's like, oh, that's not funny, and I said, I'm going to answer it. And she's like, don't answer it. Well, I was like, whatever, I'm going to answer it. So I picked it up, one time I picked it up, and I said, hi Dad, said, did you read the paper today? Because this obituary came out that day. I read the paper today, and Mom's like, that's not funny. And it was just silence on the other end. It wasn't like I didn't hear anything. It was just silence, and I hung up, and then it rang again, and I told him, I said, hi Dad, okay, we'll see you tomorrow, because in church for his service. And what else happened after that? A couple times after that, I found the toilet seat up, even though it's all women in the house. That was kind of funny. And my daughter, one time, she was looking out, like, off to the side, and there's nothing there, and all she could say at the time was, like, hi. And she looked up, and then got to playing, whatever, and looked up again, and said hi, and there was, like, nothing there. Stuff like that. Weird stuff like that's happened. A couple other things. My daughter's toy one time says, press the little bear button and play with me. Out of nowhere. Nobody touched it. That's like what it says when it's turned on. And Raven goes, what was that? And I looked over and I'm like, okay, that's real funny, Dad, real funny, and it said it again. And my mom had gone outside to smoke, but she's not a smoker, which, whatever. And it said it again. It's all, press the little bear button and play with me. I said, if you want to make yourself useful, Dad, go outside and tell Mom to quit smoking. And the toy said, bye-bye. He goes, bye. Real funny. So basically, the moral of the story is, basically don't take people in your life for granted. There's people that I've known that I try to keep in touch with, that I lose track of, whatever, and then I talk to somebody later, and I ask about how so-and-so is doing, and I get the, one thing I hate the most when it happens in my life is when people say, oh, you didn't hear? Come to find out, so-and-so, he's no longer with us, and I have no way of saying goodbye, of anything like that, So basically, that's one thing that I've always been really big on, even before this happened with my dad, that I always keep, let people know, what those things that people put off, that they don't want to say to other people, that for whatever reason, they think there's always going to be tomorrow, and I'm one of those people that I don't think that way, because I've had too many times when I hear, oh, you didn't hear? No, I didn't hear, somebody could have told me, at least I could have gone to the service, or at least, got some kind of closure. But, that kind of thing. But, I think far too often people don't tell people, the things that they would have wanted to say to them had they known that their time was limited, or, people always have something to say at a memorial service, well, it's too late, at that point. Not really, though, but, you know what I mean. So basically, I just wanted to kind of make this video, put that out there, let people know some part of my story. But I guess that's it. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.